Hey guys, welcome back for another video. We just left our local car meet and we're getting home because we're gonna do some boost controller stuff. About to put in the electronic boost controller. I know it's kind of late at night, but we gotta get our work done. Hopefully get our first startup tomorrow if all goes well. And you know, let's dive right into it. Ah, isn't she a beauty? Okay guys, so like we said, we're gonna be doing the boost controller install. Here we go, the Max Solenoid. If you saw our previous videos, we have the unboxing for it. It's a 3-port electronic boost solenoid, and we're gonna be using that in conjunction with our hondata S300 V3 for boost by ear. Pizza break, because working on cars makes you hungry. All right, I did a little quick sketch over here on how we're going to be running this boost controller. As you can see, we have location 1, 2, and 3. Let me focus. 1, 2, and 3. And in the drawing, it's a little bit different. I did 1, 2, and then 3 is the center breather. Basically, what you're gonna do is have the first number 1, which is number 1 over here, run to a T, 1 to the turbo compressor or pressure housing or pressure source, then T off into the bottom of the wastegate. Then number 2, one on the left side in this case, will branch off to the top of the wastegate, which would be, here's our bottom wastegate port and our top wastegate port. And that's of course looking at this part being the top right there and this being the bottom. We're going to tap into the compressor housing right there of the turbo. I already have the port on there, and that should be fairly simple to do. I have my vacuum hose, and I'm thinking of mounting the solenoid itself somewhere over here, and then having my wiring go through here into the cabin to the ECU. So let's dive right into it. So the solenoid I bought came with this little mounting plate as well as the necessary things to make the connector. Then I bought some 18 gauge wire from AutoZone. I think this is actually a 20 gauge if I'm not mistaken, but I should be able to work as long as I get the crimping correctly on this. It should be alright, and I do have my wire crimper around here. So I'm going to see if I can mount this plate. I'm going to try right here, right down over here, so then I can just run my wiring nice and tucked over here into the cabin. So let me try to mount that up real quick. Okay, so we got this to where we want it. Now we have the flat, excuse me, the flat bolt right there already in place. Tighten it down. Then you have the 2 small bolts that go in through these holes. Let me just tighten that down real quick. Okay, so there we go. It's all mounted. There's our wiring for it. We got to run this to the connector. We'll solder this, and then I'm probably going to have a connector right at the firewall. As you can see, I've got my T right here off of number 1, just like we had in our diagram. And this is off of the instructions online through hondata and everything. So port number 1, I have a T to the compressor housing. Then off the compressor housing to the bottom side of the wastegate, then to the top side of the wastegate. Then off of the bottom side of the wastegate, I have it routed to number 2. And number 3 is the little the muffler outlet, as they call it, something like that. All right, so that's pretty much routed all in. Next is connector that goes to pin A11 for this specific make and model for the Integra, and for other cars, you know, it's going to be different depending on your ECU and your setup and everything. But pin A11, and then an ignition an ignition source 12 volt. So we're going to go ahead and go over all the vacuum hoses right now, make sure everything's nice and snug. I'm going to push this over a little bit more, and maybe in the next month or 2, I'm actually thinking of doing AN lines just to make it a little bit cleaner and a little bit safer for the heat and everything. All right, let me go ahead and make this all nice real quick. Give me a sec. All right, so I ended up getting rid of the connectors. They were a lot cheaper quality. I don't know if they were cheaper quality or I'm not very good at it, I guess. Whatever. I ended up just soldering the line or the wire directly off of the controller to the rest of the wiring. Put this little cover over it. I think it's called wire loom or something. And inside of the car. Sorry, it's a mess right now. Let me pull this through. I'll fix that in a second. So here you see the wiring. And from what I've read online, my ECU is not here right now, but from what I've read online, you can do the one of the wires to A11 is what you need for the boost by gear, and the other one to the 12 volt. And somebody said tap into A25 if I'm not mistaken. So we're gonna go ahead and look for A25 on here using our diagram. Okay, so I just went ahead and took the jumper harness that I have off the car just so I can show you a little bit easier. You're gonna get your A connector. This is for OBD1. Your A connector, the 8th one, if you're counting from the right to the left, the 8th wire, including the, if you're counting even the one that's not right there, 8th one is A11. The 6th one from the left to the right is A11. A25 is this one right here, the very last one. And just for reference, whenever you plan on doing this, or if you would like to know more about it, look up the diagram for it. Don't mess up on this. So what we're going to do, we're going to solder one of the wires to here, and then tap into this by also soldering on right here for the power right here to A25, and then the signal for the hondata boost by gear goes to A11. So I'm going to start soldering this in, and then I'll put it back on the car. Alright, not the prettiest solders, you know, I'm still kind of new at this, but you can see on this one, A25, I've tapped into it, insulation started to melt, and over here, A11, I've soldered into it, and this is going to the boost controller in the engine bay. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and hook this back up, but before we do that, we have some heat shrink here. Like always, whenever you're soldering something, make sure to heat shrink it or protect it so it doesn't short to ground or anything, of course. This one right here, I was able to get the heat shrink over it. I put the heat shrink in the wrong place for the A25 pin, but we are going to do the liquid tape that we used in the last video, and then cover it in electrical tape as well, just for, I guess, double protection. Let me get that going real quick, and then I'll show you what it looks like all finished, I guess. For those of you who missed the last video, you should go check it out, and if you don't have the time, here's that liquid tape that I'm talking about. It's basically a wire insulator, I guess you could say, and it's a paint type thing. And it's kind of in the name. It's liquid electrical tape, I guess you could say. And instead of having the heat shrink like I did right here, we are going to do a couple coats of that stuff. About every 10 minutes you're supposed to do a coat of it, and it recommends 2 coats. Here, I missed a spot right there, but we are going to fix that right now. Focus. Oh well. Alright, and once that dries up, we are going to do the next coat. Alright, we're on that second coat drying right now. Starting to look much better right there. And let's just walk around the wiring. That was for my wideband right there. Okay, so this right here, A11, A25, tap into A25, A11, completely replace it, run it through the firewall, make sure you have a good grommet so it doesn't chafe on the firewall and cause a short to ground. Now this is all going to be cleaned up, just running it like this for now. 2 wires. I have this little stay right there so it doesn't fly everywhere. I'll squish it down so it doesn't go into the timing belt or anything. To my max solenoid, right there. Then I have number 2 routed towards the bottom wastegate port. Number 1 teed off, 1 to the top of the wastegate and the other to the compressor housing. I'll also put zip ties right here, that way nothing gets sucked into that beautiful turbo. And that's pretty much it for the boost by gear install. Besides this, just make sure that you have your hardware installed to your ECU. Well, you have the PWM soldering kit, I guess you could say. That's what it goes by online. Normally it's like 20 bucks if you're buying that by itself, 20 to 40 bucks. And people charge about $30 to put it in, so it's not too bad. For about 70 bucks altogether, I would say, maybe 80 bucks altogether, you have a boost controller, which controls by gear. Just make sure that your tuner is familiar with it and comfortable with it when they go to tune your car. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in tonight. Alrighty guys, that's pretty much it for tonight. I think it's a pretty good, productive evening. If you have any questions at all, any comments, if you'd like to ask us what we think about your car, or if you want to let us know how you think about ours, please comment and leave a long sentence down below. If not, just make sure to like and subscribe if you aren't already, and stay tuned for the next video. Hopefully it'll be of La Fair running. Stay tuned guys. Alright, peace.